Hi, in this video we will talk about the auditing in MySQL. If you have a requirement to track the activity of a user or to track the activity of multiple users or to track the activity of all users in MySQL instance, then audit will help you. For that, we need to make use of the audit log plugin, which is available in both 8 and 9 versions. In this video, we are making use of the audit log plugin. So by default, MySQL won't have this plugin. You need to install this plugin, and in a Linux machine, the installation script is available under this directory, user share MySQL 9.3. We are currently dealing with the MySQL 9.3 version, commercial edition. So under that directory, you will find this audit log filter linux install.sql. This is the script which helps you to install the plugin. This script takes one argument, that is the name of the database under which you want to have this script run. So by default, we make use of the MySQL database. So when the script runs, it installs the audit log plugin, and it also creates multiple objects that are required for the audit log plugin. So it basically creates two tables, audit log filter and audit log user, and then it creates a bunch of functions. And once this audit log plugin is created, there are many variables that help you to configure how you want the functionality of this audit to be done. So all these variables will help you to configure this audit log plugin. So imagine a case, once we enable this auditing, what activities are audited? We want to know, what all activities are audited. So for that, MySQL provides these details. You can basically audit all the connection attempts, all the disconnections, and all the general messages, status related messages, and internal SQLs run by the MySQL, and table access, whether it is an insert, update, delete. All these actions are auditable in MySQL. They even provided the details of this. In the case of procedure, function, or triggers, right, only the invocations of the procedure or only the invocation of the functions gets written into the audit log file, not the statements that are part of the function or procedure or trigger. They don't get written into the audit log file. Now we know that these events can be audited, and we wanted to know where does it write the information about the audit into. It writes the information into one flat file. You can provide the location and name for that file. By default, it is under the data directory, and by default it will be named as audit.log. And this audit plugin writes all the auditable events into this audit.log file. So by default, the file name is audit.log file, and the default location is in the data directory, and both the location and the file name are configurable with a variable. You have three formats available. The data in this audit log file can be written into three formats, that is old XML format, new XML format, and the JSON format. The contents of this file can be written as a JSON entry or as an XML entry based on the option that you have chosen to write into the audit log file. And regarding the auditable events, we just saw that a connection attempt or a connection succeeded thing event can be written to the audit log file, and a connection disconnection, whenever the connection got disconnected, those details can be written into the audit log file. Once we connect as a user and once we try to switch to a different user, those details can be written into the audit log file. And under the general, you have the status details that can be written into the audit log file. Internal MySQL statement details gets written to the audit log file, and a table access. Once we read the table or perform insert, update, delete, all those events as well gets written into the audit log file. Again, here in the connection criteria, If you see here, audit log connection policy, if you specify it as errors, this audit log connection policy variable as errors, the succeeded attempts would not get written into the audit log file. Only the failure attempts gets written into the audit log file. Whereas for this variable audit log connection policy, if you specify as all, then every attempt, whether it succeeds or whether the connection attempt fails, both the things get written into the audit log file. The same way for the statements also, whether you want only the failing statements get written into the audit log file, or whether you want all the statements that got succeeded as well as the statements that failed execution. Do you want those details as well written into the audit log file? You can specify it with the help of the variable value audit log statement. And audit log policy, there is no need that you audit all these events. You can specify only the connection attempts to be audited, or you can specify only the table access events to be audited. You can pick and choose based on your requirement. So the same thing here, audit log policy. Do you want only the logins to be audited, or do you want only the queries to be audited, or do you want everything to be audited? You can specify that with the help of this variable audit log policy. Now, once you run this script, the audit log plugin gets installed and it creates these two tables and as well as these variables. Now you just seen three variables: audit log connection policy, audit log policy, and audit log statement. Audit log connection policy and audit log statement policy and audit log policy. We just spoke about these three variables. We'll see about the other items also. So this is my MySQL 9.3 commercial edition instance. I have already installed the audit log plugin here. This is my audit log and audit log.so. So it is available, and I have made use of the MySQL schema, the database, to install this audit log plugin. So these two tables got created as part of the installation of the audit log plugin. And all of these variables help you to configure the audit log plugin as well. Also, I wanted to show the audit log file. By default, it is under the data directory. So this thing, audit log format, we are saying it as JSON. So all the events that are auditable by the audit log plugin will be written as JSON entries into the audit log file. So let's check that. In a different window, let's go to data directory. Okay, these are all the files that are related to the auditing. I was working on multiple things, so these are all the audit log files. So let's check the latest audit log file. So whenever it starts writing into the file, it mentions this thing, the open bracket, and then the timestamp, the ID, class, audit, event, startup, connection. It's saying this audit log plugin is started at this time. I just started the MySQL instance, so it is showing the detail. It writes the detail when the audit log plugin is getting started, and it writes the detail when the audit log plugin is getting stopped. Also, the server startup details will also be written. So event startup. So far there is no other details here. We just saw that all these activities can be audited, but imagine you want to audit only specific set of events, and you can achieve that by creating the audit log filter. As an example, we are going to create an audit log filter and we are going to say that we want to audit all the auditable events that are available here, and we name that as the audit log filter as log underscore all. We just saw here audit log filter set filter. This is the thing that helps us to create an audit log filter, and it takes two arguments, filter name and the definition. So this is the command set audit log filter set filter log all and the filter. We are saying log true, we are just saying log everything. Before that, I also want to show the contents of this audit log filter table. It is empty as of now, and audit log user table, it is also empty. So we are now creating a new filter, and we are saying log everything, and we are naming that audit log filter as log underscore all. We can name it anything. Now if we check, this filter definition and the filter details will be stored in this audit log filter table. Okay, now you see the filter definition. Now you can assign this filter to any user. So whoever it is assigned to, all the actions that are done by that user will be returned to this audit log file. And the association details, the filter assigned to a specific user, those details gets written into this audit log user table. I already have 3 users here. Okay, this should be user, this is not username. Okay, I have created 3 users here, user 1 at localhost, test 1 at localhost. These 2 users can connect from the localhost, and test 1 at percentile. So this user can connect from any other location other than the localhost. So let's try to assign this policy log underscore all to test 1 at localhost and user 1 at localhost. And the command for that is, you need to invoke this function, select audit log filter set user, audit log filter and set user, username, and then what filter you want to assign that user. So let's run this thing. As of now, this table will still be empty because we have not tagged this, or we have not associated this filter with any user. Now we are going to associate that filter to an user. And when we check the contents of this table now it says this user host combination is tagged or is associated with this filter name log all. So that is the functionality of these two tables. And one stores the definitions of the filter, and one stores the details, which user is assigned to which filter, or which filter is assigned to which user. Those association details will be stored in the other table. And we just made use of 2 functions here, audit log filter set filter and audit log filter set user. We just made use of these 2 functions. Now any action that is done by these users will be logged into this audit log file. And since we wanted these entries to be logged as JSON entries, all those entries will be written into this file as JSON entries. So let's log in as test 1 and user 1 on 2 different sessions and see. Also, these users were already granted all privileges on the Secular schema or Secular database. We are just running select on actor and actor info. Let's run select. and the connection ID for this user is 39. User 1 at localhost, the connection ID is 39, and we just try and select on two tables, actor and actor info. Let me open a duplicate session. Let's select the last three tables here, staff list and store tables. So this user test1 with connection ID 40, he just trying to select a staff list and a store. Let's check the audit log file. It is saying that at this timestamp 2025 November 16th, we just try and select user command, and its status is success. And before that, connection ID 40, and we even ran the connection ID. It is showing that details as well, and it's saying it is success. And the actual commands that were run were store, and it says status as 0. Status as 0 means that is success. And you can see the details of that event, a timestamp. It shows the timestamp and the class. The event is status, connection ID, account details, user is test1, host is localhost, and the login details it's showing, and general data. The command is the query, SQL command, select command, query, the actual query, select star from store, status 0. If you see this thing, for the same auditable event, it has written 2 entries. So for that, the timestamp would be the same. You see this thing, 328.43 and 328.43, but it has written 2 entries, so the ID changes. ID is 0 and ID is 1, but the timestamp is the same. So if this auditable event needs to write multiple lines, then only the ID column changes. That is one thing. Here also you can see the details, but it does not show whether this command succeeded or not. Whereas here it shows the status as 0, means that this command succeeded. And the connection ID is 40. Connection ID is 40. And you see these things. The connection ID 40 has also run all these commands, which we did not run, but MySQL internally trying to get the definition of the columns internally. So even those details got written into this audit log file. I want to show that. We can write the filter accordingly, audit log filter, so that we can filter these out, but we'll have to write the filter accordingly. And the details of the other session 39 also the same way, what query it has run, actor info, end actor, and the timing details and all other stuff. So now let's try to perform an insert, update, delete operation, and for that I have one table here. So test table. Okay, I already have 2 records, one Praveen and 2 Vamsi Krishna. Let's try to insert one more record. And let's try to update the same record. Sorry, it should be where a is equal to 3. Okay, now let's check the audit log file. Okay, you can see this thing, 33728, 33728 ID 0, and it is saying the command as update test set b is equal to seshadri m, where a is equal to 3. It does not show the status here, but on the second record where id is equal to 1, it is showing the command SQL command as query, SQL command as update, and the query details update test where set b is equal to seshadri m, from seshadri we change it to seshadri m, where a is equal to 3, and the status is equal to 0. And this shows this thing is succeeded. You can see here a little bit up where b is equal to 3 I have given, and it failed, and it is showing the error details also 1292. On the status column it shows the error details also. Let's check that. Okay, the error is 1292 because when I try to specify incorrect column name, the update failed and the error was 1292, and it even wrote that detail into the audit log file. 1292 is the error and the command what we executed. Before that, it even showing the details of the insert statement, insert into test values 3 seshadri m, status is 0, and it shows the connection details also, connection ID 39, and status and the timing details, and the connection ID is 39, account details, user is user1, host localhost, and the login details along with the query details. So it writes these auditable records for each auditable event into the audit log file. Since I have chosen this JSON format, it is writing this each one of these auditable event as a JSON entry, and all the auditable events gets written by the audit log plugin into this audit log file. Okay, I want to share something else with regards to the remote connections, and where we specify for a remote connection to log all the auditable events. So this is a log file of the past. Let me show the details from this log file. Okay, you see this thing ping. So in the case of remote connections, even when the connection is idle, it sends the ping event to the server periodically, and that internal event gets written to the audit log file as well. So you don't want the audit log file to be filled up with these ping events, and if you want these ping events not to be written to the audit log file, you will have to design the audit log policy accordingly. And for that, Metalink document provides this policy, all without ping. There is a Metalink document available, and that shows how we can write a policy to log all the statements but not the ping. So we make use of this policy. Select audit log filter, set filter. We are setting the filter with this command. So okay, the audit log filter got created. So let me assign this filter to the other user, test1. Test1 at the rate %, and the policy name is all without ping. So now when the test1 connects from any other mission other than the local host, all the statements get audited, but not the internal ping statements. They don't get written to the audit log file. So for that, let's connect to this VM through the MySQL workbench. So I connected as that session. Let me run two statements. Select star from Sakila.actor and select star from Sakila.language. And this thing, select audit log filter ID, shows the filter ID of the filter that is associated with this session. This is an internal thing, but it is just saying that this session is associated with a filter or audit log filter. This is test. He is assigned with one filter. This is an internal thing. It is just saying that this session is associated with a audit log filter, and the ID for that is 2. Whereas for the current session, it is 4 separate filters are associated. So let's check the content of the audit log file now. Okay, we just ran under 40 audit log filter ID. We ran that command, and this is the 67 from the MySQL workbench. And here you can see test 1, and the host, it is showing the gateway because it is connecting through internal network to the VM machine. And the login is test 1. The IP is this particular IP 10022, and it is saying that we ran audit log filter ID we ran, and we ran this query select star from secular.language and select star from secular.actor. It even ran other queries internally. So that way we can see the details. Now even though this session is sitting idle, it does not write the ping events into this audit log file. So we avoided that thing with the help of this audit log policy. I want to show 2 more details. Now we have 2 filters. One filter name is all without ping and the other filter name is log all, and this is the association between the user and the filters. Now let's say we want to assign all without ping even for user 1 at localhost. At any time, a user will be associated with only one filter. So with this association, the previous log all will be taken off, and user 1 at localhost now will be associated with all without ping. And we can see that from this table, audit log user. Now you can see user at localhost is associated with all without ping. So at any time, only one audit log filter can be assigned with one user. So whenever this user logs in, this filter gets invoked, and all the events that you wanted to be audited will be written into the audit log file. Now with this understanding, let's try to understand a little bit more about the other functions and the variables. Audit log remove filter. If you want to remove a filter, we can run this command. Let's run that. And let's try to remove this filter. If it says OK, the function succeeded, and it has actually removed this audit log filter. It also disassociates all the associations of all without ping audit log filter from all the associated users. We can check that as well. Previously, this was the case. All without ping is associated with 2 users. Now, since we removed the filter got disassociated from these 2 users as well. Similarly, audit log filter remove user. If you want to take off the audit log filter from a specific user, you can do that. Audit log encryption password get. The audit log file, you can have that encrypted and as well as compressed as well. So audit log file can be compressed as well as encrypted. You need to specify the compression algorithm, as well as you need to specify password for the encryption as well. And if you specify a password for encryption, that password will be stored in the keyring file. If you want to know about the keyring, I have done one more video. You can check that. And the password that is used to encrypt the audit log file will be stored in the keyring file. If you don't specify a password, by default it creates one and it places that password in the keyring file. So this function, audit log encryption password get, is used to get the encryption password, and this function helps you to set the password for the encryption. And the flush is to flush the contents from the audit log buffer to the audit log file, And audit log read, this thing helps you to read the contents of the audit log file from the MySQL itself. We'll see this. And this audit log read bookmark, you can have a bookmark and say to the audit log read to read from the specified bookmark. Audit log rotate is to rotate the audit log file, meaning it will stop writing to the current file and start writing into a new file. When it stops writing to the current file, it renames this file, and the file name will be based on the format. If it is a JSON file, then the audit log file will be renamed based on the last event that is written to this audit log file. And once you use the audit log rotate, it basically starts writing into a new file. So we can do that as well. Okay, now it is saying it has generated this file. Okay, 2025-11-42505. Okay, this is the name, and it started writing to a new file. The file name is again audit.log. So this way you can rotate the audit log file. It basically starts writing into a new file, and the older one is closed. So probably you may have a script that invokes this function every day at a specified time, or this can be even done automatically. I will try to cover that as well, that functionality in another video. But you can basically say audit log rotate on every night. That way for each day you'll have one audit log file created, something like that. Let's also check the timestamp of the, okay, this is 42505, and that is the name of the 42505. So the last event's timestamp, based on the last event's timestamp, the file name will be renamed. Whereas if it is an XML, again the file name will be a little bit different. This audit log read helps us to read the contents of the log file from the MySQL itself. So let's try to check that. Select audit log read, and then you need to specify the timestamp from what you want to read the log file. So let's go to the recent file, and say you want to read from this timestamp, random timestamp, this one. So now if you pass that, it has basically read the contents of the audit log file from this particular timestamp, whatever timestamp you have given, 42401, and from there it read the contents of the audit log file, and it is showing us from the MySQL itself. But if you want this thing to be limited to a specific number, then you can make use of the other function, max array length, from the timestamp. So just saying read from this timestamp, and just read 3 entries. So audit log read 424 ID 0, and the other details it will show for the next 3 entries. So this way you can read the contents of the audit log file, but for this you need the audit admin privilege. Not everyone will be able to read this. Okay, moving further, let's try to discuss on these variables that helps us to configure the audit log plugin. The first one is audit log buffer size. So whenever a user connects to the MySQL, and if that user is associated with any audit log filter, The audit log plugin identifies the auditable event and writes it to the audit log file. Before it writes it to the audit log file, it keeps a note of them in the memory, and from memory it periodically writes those events into the audit log file. So a user connects to the MySQL, and if this user is associated with a audit log filter, then say log all filter name. Now it needs to log all the statements. MySQL plugin makes a note of all the statements, and before it writes it to the audit log file, it writes them into the memory in a buffer. And the size of this buffer is configurable by this parameter or variable, audit log buffer size. And periodically from this buffer the events gets written into the audit log file. So that is the purpose of the variable audit log buffer size. The second one, audit log compression. If you want to have this audit log file compressed, then you can make use of this audit log compression. You need to specify the algorithm. Based on the algorithm, it compresses the audit log file. Audit log connection policy. We have seen this earlier. Audit log connection policy. Do you want to audit only the errors? That means whenever a connection is trying to connect and if it is erroring out, do you want only those errors details to be logged, or do you want all the connections details to be logged, whether it succeeds or whether it fails, all those details to be logged? So that is determined with the audit log connection policy. Audit log current session. This helps us to specify whether the current session is being audited or not. Audit log database. So when we install this plugin, we make use of the database to specify where all these functions and tables should be stored. We made use of the MySQL database. So you specify that with the help of this variable audit log database. Audit log disable. This is a kind of on and off switch for the auditing. If you specify audit log disable, then the auditing will be completely disabled. Audit log disabled is equal to true. Then the existing session and the sessions that connect after you specify this variable, everything, they stop writing the auditable events to the audit log file. Audit log encryption. You can encrypt the audit log file, and the password used to encrypt the audit log file is stored in the keyring, and the file itself gets renamed to reflect that it is being encrypted. The same is the case with the audit log compression also. The file gets renamed to specify that the file is getting compressed. Audit log exclude accounts. If you specify this thing, then say for example test1 or user1, except those two accounts, auditing is enabled for all the accounts. Audit log exclude accounts. This is deprecated in version 9.3. So audit log file. This helps us to specify the name of the audit log file and location. So audit log file, how you want the audit log file should be named and where it should be placed. So this variable helps us to specify that. Audit log filter ID. This specifies whether the current session is under the influence of the audit policy or not. So this session is under the influence of auditing. It shows 2, that means filter ID 2, which is an internal thing. It is only specifying that this session is under the influence of auditing, whereas I have one more root session, and for this session audit log filter ID is 0, meaning this is not under the influence of the audit log, or this session is not getting audited. Audit log flush. So audit log flush interval seconds. Some are deprecated, these two are deprecated in version 9.3. If you want the audit log to be flushed periodically from the buffer into the log file, you can specify that, but this is deprecated. Say for example, if you want the contents of the buffer to be written to the log file every 60 seconds, then you can make use of these things. And audit log format. This is the variable that helps us to configure whether you want the audit log contents to be written into the XML, old XML, new XML, or JSON format. So we gave that as JSON format. And audit log format Unix timestamp. In the Unix timestamp, if you want that to be written to the audit log, you can make use of that. Audit log include accounts. If you use this, you're just saying that do the auditing for the specified account itself. Audit log max size. You're giving a maximum size for the audit log. This helps you to prune or remove the older log files based on the given size. If you set it as 0, basically it does not prune or remove the old files. But if you set it to a size, then when the audit log size grows beyond that, then the older files will be deleted automatically. We will see that in a different video. Audit log password history keep days. So if you say like you want the audit log file to be encrypted, then the encryption password should be stored in the keyring file. And say for example you have rotated that, and or you have set different passwords, and all these passwords should be maintained in the keyring so that you will be able to read the contents of this audit log file down the time. So the passwords in the keyring, they can be maintained, or the older passwords can be deleted from the keyring automatically, and this variable helps us to set that thing. Audit log password history keep days. Audit log policy. We have seen this thing, whether you want the logins to be audited, or whether you want only the queries to be audited, or whether you want everything to be audited. Audit login policy. Audit log prune seconds. This is also helpful to prune or remove the audit log files. Audit log read buffer size. When you are reading the contents of the audit log file from the MySQL itself, then it has to allocate a buffer in the memory so that it reads the contents from the audit log file into the specified memory, and from there it shows it to the user. And this variable helps us to configure that. Audit log read buffer size. Audit log rotate on size. We have seen an example of rotating the file where we ran this command select audit log rotate, and it stopped writing into the file. It renamed that file and it started writing into a new file. If you want automatic rotation to happen, audit log rotate on size helps you. Say for example every 10 MB or every 1 GB you want a new file to be written and the existing file to be closed and renamed with a different name, then audit log rotate on size helps you. Audit log statement policy. We have seen this. Whether you want all the statements details to be written, or whether you want only the errors, whenever a statement fails, those errors details to be written to the audit log. This variable helps to configure that. Audit log statement policy. And audit log strategy. So how you want the auditable events to be written into the audit log file? Do you want them to be written into the buffer, and from buffer you want them to be written into the memory? That is one thing. That is asynchronous. That is the default thing. So if any auditable event occurs, initially it gets written into the buffer, and from the buffer it gets written into the audit log file in the asynchronous mode. But the disadvantage here is, say for example it has written 10 auditable events details into the audit log buffer, and you lost the power. So this instance went down, and when it comes up, it does not have these details written into the audit log file. So you lost the 10 auditable event details. They were not written into the audit log file. That is the disadvantage with asynchronous mode. And if you don't want that to happen, you can make use of the synchronous mode. So in the synchronous mode, as and when an auditable event occurs, its details gets written directly into the audit log file. They don't get written into the buffer, and from the buffer they don't get written into the audit log file. Directly they are written as and when a auditable event happens, they gets directly written to the audit log file in the synchronous mode. So also there are two modes. Performance mode. In the performance mode, all the events get written into the buffer, but if for any reason the buffer is filled up and if it has to wait to write the details of new auditable event into the buffer, audit log plugin drops them. It does not wait. So that is the performance mode for audit log strategy. And there is one more, semi-synchronous. Here it makes use of the operating system cache to write the details to the audit log file. So that is about all these variables. There are other set of variables, status variables, that helps us to understand the current running status for the audit, and we can see them with the help of show status like audit. Audit log current size, this shows the current size for the audit log file, and audit log event max drop size. In the performance mode, if at all, if any event has to be dropped because it does not have the space in the audit log buffer, it gets dropped in the performance mode. So if any event is dropped, what is the maximum size event that it dropped? This thing shows that, and how many events were audited, how many events were buffered, how many events were returned directly. Even in the asynchronous mode, if the auditable event, say for example, if you run a huge query and that query is audited in the asynchronous mode, and if that query is too huge, it cannot fit itself into the audit log buffer, then even in the asynchronous mode, it writes that details directly into the audit log file. So this thing shows that, and how many events filtered and how many events were lost. So in the performance mode, if the audit log plugin does not find the space in the audit log buffer, it does not wait, it just loses those event details. So this thing shows that how many events we have lost and how many events were written into the audit log file, and what is the size of all the audit log files available now, and audit log write weights. In the asynchronous mode, if it does not see the space in the audit log buffer, if it does not see the space available in the audit log buffer, it has to wait. So how many times it has waited before it gets the space available in the audit log buffer, that thing you can see this from this variable audit log write weights. If you see it frequently, then you probably will have to increase the size of the audit log buffer. So the status variables helps us to get the details of the current running status for the audit. And I have to say this thing, the status variables changes based on the input variables. Say for example, these variables are available now for audit log strategy asynchronous. If you change this audit log strategy to synchronous, then the status variables changes. So that is one more thing. Okay, moving further, let's try to see the installation of the audit log plugin. So the installation script will be available in this location. So user share MySQL 9.3. It basically creates these two tables, audit log filter and audit log user, and functions, the functions that we used. And then it even installs the plugin, audit log plugin. So in case if you are using this on a primary with the standby, so you first need to install this plugin on the standby, because the plugins, they won't get replicated from primary to standby. So you will need to ensure that you run this install plugin command on the standby, and after that you need to run the script in the primary. The same goes with the group replication also. If you are using group replication, before you run the audit log plugin installation script, you need to install this plugin manually on all the replica servers. Only then you need to go ahead and run this thing on the primary, even in the group replication. Okay, now we already have this thing in our MySQL server. So for that, we need to basically uninstall that before we go for the installation. And the uninstallation script is this thing, audit log filter uninstall.sql. This is the uninstallation script. If you see this thing, it is basically dropping the tables, dropping the functions, and uninstalling the plugin. So let's try to run that. But before that, I even want to show one more thing. I have a variable. Let me show you my my.cnf configuration file. This is my my.cnf. The last variable, audit log force plus permanent, what it does is, it basically ensures that MySQL server always has the audit log plugin up and running. So when you start up the MySQL server, it ensures that the audit log plugin is also started. If for any reason the audit log plugin does not start, generally the MySQL server will be up and running fine. But if you set this parameter, audit log force plus permanent, it ensures that audit log plugin is started while the MySQL server is started, and if for any reason audit log plugin does not start, it does not start the MySQL also. Also, while the MySQL server is up and running, it ensures that you cannot drop audit log plugin. When the MySQL server is up and running, you will not be able to drop the audit log plugin. So I have that parameter, so I will show you what happens if I try to drop the plugin now. So the uninstallation script here, audit log filter uninstall.sql, it basically drops the tables and functions and uninstalls the plugin. So let me try to uninstall the plugin now. So plugin audit log is force plus permanent and cannot be unloaded. So now we need to hash out this parameter, so we will be able to drop that plugin. Okay, let me I restarted my instance after taking off this audit log force plus permanent. That should allow me to drop this plugin now. Okay, now it dropped it. Okay, we can also run the uninstallation script. So it drops the tables and other functions as well. Okay, I need to be in that location. Okay, since we already dropped the plugin, it says that plugin is not available, but now we should not be able to see the tables. In MySQL database, it dropped the tables related to the audit log plugin. Now let's try to do the installation. Just running the script. Okay, it says the result okay. I made use of the MySQL database to store the tables and the functions. So I am already in MySQL. Now it created these two tables, audit log filter and audit log user, and it is created the functions, and it should even be creating the plugin as well. Active. Audit log plugin is active now. So this way we can make use of the audit functionality to audit the activity in the MySQL server. So that completes this video. Thank you for watching.